Hola, Ali Madad, and welcome back to the Ismaili Esoteric Study Circle. Take a breath, because what you are about to hear is not an ordinary reflection. It is an invitation. An invitation to look beyond the surface of something you may have observed your entire life and see it, perhaps for the very first time, in its true, luminous reality. To every soul who has chosen to sit with us in this sacred space of knowledge and light, we are deeply, deeply grateful. Your curiosity is not accidental. Your presence here is part of your spiritual journey. And if this is your very first time joining us, welcome home. We warmly invite you to please subscribe to the Ismaili Esoteric Study Circle right now. Tap that bell icon so that every new reflection lands directly with you the moment it arrives. And if this circle of light has already touched your heart, share this episode today with your family, with your friends, with someone whose soul you know is quietly searching. Because divine wisdom does not belong to one soul alone. It multiplies when it is shared. One share from you could become the beginning of someone else's awakening. In this episode of Unveiling Esoteric Insights into Laylat al-Qadr, we will highlight certain textual echoes, numerical patterns, and historical reflections, not as conclusions, but as invitations. Consider them intellectual breadcrumbs and secrets. They are there for those who wish to look deeper, to research further, and to engage personally with the tradition. The purpose is not to persuade, but to awaken curiosity, because ultimate truths and spirituality are not handed down fully formed. They are discovered. Divine knowledge often reveals itself gradually to those willing to seek.
Thank you. And it really is an invitation today.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, stepping into the core mission of our deep dive today, we're tackling some truly massive concepts, almost intimidating cosmic ideas. Things like Laylat al-Qadr, the night of power, and Jamat, the day of judgment.
The big ones.
The big ones. And these are ideas that, on the surface, they can feel completely abstract, almost untouchable for the everyday listener. But the goal of this deep dive is to decode these concepts, to show you how they are not just, distant historical ways, but constant living realities that you actually interact with every single day.
It's a vital mission because when we engage with Ismaili esoteric literature, the entire objective, the whole point, is to bring the cosmic down to the deeply personal.
Yes.
We're looking at frameworks that completely redefine time, existence, and really the everyday progression of your own soul. And to do that, we have to look at how these massive theological concepts are usually understood by the broader public and then fundamentally shift our lens.
Right. So let's start with Jamat, the day of judgment. When most people hear that word, a very literal, like an exoteric image immediately comes to mind.
Oh, absolutely. The Hollywood version.
Exactly. It's usually a strictly linear timeline ending in this sudden, violent destruction of the physical world. You picture the mountains crumbling into dust, the sky peeling away, the sun going completely dark, just a catastrophic finish line for humanity.
And that is the standard exoteric view, yes. But the esoteric perspective fundamentally shifts that entire paradigm. Esoterically, Jamat is not a static, singular event of physical destruction. It is dynamic.
Right.
At its core, it simply means change. It is a continuous, ongoing process of spiritual transformation and unveiling. And to truly anchor this, we should really look at a profound statement from Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah. He said, and I quote, "The creation according to Islam is not a unique act in a given time, but a perpetual and constant event."
A perpetual and constant event. That's so powerful. So if creation is always happening, then Jamat, that mechanism of spiritual elevation and cosmic change, must also be constant.
Exactly.
But wait, if creation is an ongoing process, how do we reconcile that with the allegory in the Quran of Allah creating the world in 6 days? Because when people argue about the literal physics of a 24-hour creation day before the sun even existed, mind you, are they just missing the scale of what the text is actually trying to communicate?
They are completely missing the scale. That is the core divergence between reading the text literally versus reading it esoterically.
Yeah.
Exoterically, the 6 days present a logical paradox, like you just said. But esoterically, a day in the sight of the Lord is not 24 hours. It represents a massive cycle of human spiritual history.
How massive are we talking?
Roughly 1,000 years per cycle.
Wow. So we were talking about 6 immense eras of time spanning human history.
Precisely. The tradition outlines 6 days corresponding to the 6 great messengers of Allah. So Sunday is associated with Hazrat Adam, Monday with Hazrat Nuh.
And Tuesday with Hazrat Ibrahim.
Right. Wednesday with Hazrat Musa, Thursday with Hazrat Isa, and Friday with Hazrat Muhammad, peace be upon him. Each of these prophetic cycles represents about 1,000 years, making a collective span of roughly 6,000 years.
6,000 years.
Yes, and this entire period is known in esoteric terms as the Tariqah.
Tariqah. Let's pause on that term for a second. The cycle of concealment, or the cycle of Shariat. The sources use this incredible analogy of a spiritual winter on Earth to describe those 6,000 years.
It's a beautiful analogy.
It really is. During a winter, the seeds of truth are buried deep underground to protect them. They're covered by these vital outer shells, which are the literal allegories, the physical rituals, the parables brought by those prophets.
And that analogy is crucial because it explains the why. People often ask why the truth was hidden. The truth is always present, but humanity simply was not ready for the raw, unshielded light of it. The shells were completely necessary for survival.
Just like seeds in winter.
Exactly. But a winter does not last forever. Which brings us to the seventh-day Saturday. The Quran states that after the 6 days of creation, Allah established himself upon the throne. If those first 6 cycles were the winter of concealment, this 7th cycle is the spiritual spring.
The Tariqah.
Yes, the cycle of manifestation. This is the era where those protective shells finally break open and the hidden esoteric truths rise right to the surface.
And this is where it hits home for you, the listener. Because if we are moving from a 6,000-year spiritual winter into a spring of manifestation, how does that massive cosmic shift change how we approach something like the Night of Power? Usually, we think of Laylat al-Qadr as a literal date in Ramadan. We wait for the sun to go down on a specific Tuesday and just hope to catch a blessing.
Which is the exoteric approach. But in Ismaili esoteric literature, units of time like a day, a night, or a month are never just literal measures on a clock. They are living symbols.
Living symbols.
Right. Night, for instance, symbolizes a hidden spiritual rank, a profound personality operating behind the veil of the physical world. Pir Nasir Khusraw writes about this explicitly in his book Watch Haydeen. He explains that the Night of Power specifically symbolizes the hujjat, or the proof, of the Qayyim.
Okay, let's unpack this. We are throwing around some massive theological titles here. We have the Qayyim and we have the hujjat. Can you break down those specific ranks for the listener?
Absolutely. The Qayyim is the Lord of Resurrection. This is the central guiding figure of that 7th cycle of manifestation we just talked about, the spiritual spring.
Got it.
And the hujjat, meaning the proof, is the supreme teacher, or the rank, that comes just before the Qayyim. So when the text speaks of the night, it isn't pointing to a calendar date. It's pointing to a profound spiritual rank. Knowing that totally rewrites how you read Surah 97.
It really does. Take the famous verse, the Night of Power is better than 1,000 months. If we read that literally, 1,000 months is roughly 83 years. It feels a bit arbitrary, like why not 1,000 years? But when we apply that esoteric key, what does the math of that verse actually reveal?
The math is incredibly revealing. In this framework, the Arabic word for month, shahar, is a specific symbol for the imam. Therefore, the verse is telling us that the hujjat, the proof, is superior in spiritual knowledge to 1,000 previous imams from those earlier cycles of concealment.
Better than 1,000 past imams. That just shows the sheer, overwhelming magnitude of the knowledge being unveiled in the 7th cycle. All that hidden truth from the spiritual winter is finally being brought to light. And there's another brilliant layer here regarding the word Ramadan itself, isn't there?
There is. The word Ramadan translates esoterically to the one well known to Allah. It represents the Asas, the foundational Imam, Hazrat Ali. You can think of divine revelation as a locked treasure chest. The Prophet brought the chest to humanity, but the Asas holds the key. He is the one who translates those complex parables from the winter into living truths for the soul.
And here's where it gets really fascinating. Historical timelines actually converge with these cosmic cycles. Centuries ago, Ismaili scholars weren't just theorizing about this, they were literally doing the math, calculating when this 7th cycle, this dawn of deeper disclosure, would finally arrive.
They were. And they left a trail of profound numerical patterns. For instance, the word Noor, meaning light, is mentioned exactly 49 times in the Quran.
49 times?
Yes. In esoteric hermeneutics, numbers echo structure. They are never random. The Fatimid Diyya Muhammad bin Ali al-Siri wrote extensively about heptads groups of 7.
Right, and 7 times 7 is 49.
Exactly. He pinpointed the era surrounding the 49th Imam as the literal threshold for the dawn of this deeper disclosure.
The 49th Imam. The math aligns perfectly with the historical timeline, but I think a lot of people expect a Hollywood-style event for the Day of Judgment. When this dawn arrives, It's not a sudden chaotic explosion where the sky just rips open, is it?
No, not at all. And this introduces a beautiful concept we can call sacred asymmetry. Look at Quran chapter 2, verse 2 and 10, which asks if they are waiting for Allah to come to them in the shade of clouds.
Clouds.
Clouds are fascinating symbols because they veil and reveal simultaneously. They obscure direct vision, yet they signal a presence. Unveiling isn't always a dramatic, thunderous rupture. It is often a subtle structural transition.
Sacred asymmetry. So the dawn begins as a thin line on the horizon, recognized only by those who are awake. And we actually saw that structural transition happen in recent history. Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah, the 48th Imam leading right to the edge of the 49th, made an incredibly profound declaration.
He officially stated that these are the end times, the Akhri Zamana.
The Akhri Zamana. He was signaling the start of the Darki Kaf, the cycle of manifestation.
And we find the physical evidence of this spiritual descent embedded right in the text. Surah 75, verse 9 says that on the day of judgment, the sun and the moon are brought together. Esoterically, the Imam is the sun and the Pir is the moon.
Right.
Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah united these two massive spiritual forces by abolishing the rank of the Pirwatan and embodying both roles entirely within himself.
And when a structural shift of that magnitude happens in the spiritual realm, it inevitably spills over into our physical world. The 20th century saw radical, unprecedented transformations. Let's just look internally within the Jamat. Look at the Jubilee funds.
Yes, the schools.
In 1946, the Diamond Jubilee schools were built in the incredibly isolated Karakoram Mountains of Hunza, Pakistan. Imagine being in those remote villages in 1946. And the Imam explicitly mandated that if a family had a son and a daughter, they must educate the daughter first.
Which was revolutionary.
Beyond revolutionary. That isn't just an administrative policy. That is a cosmic realignment. It's a massive spiritual paradigm shift breaking through the physical world.
And if you look externally, across the globe, we witnessed an explosive advancement that mirrors that exact shift. Think about the pacing of human history. For thousands of years, humanity moved at a very slow, iterative pace. Then suddenly, within a single century, we leapt from gas lamps and horse-drawn carriages to quantum mechanics, aviation, and the digital age.
It's staggering when you zoom out.
It is. And it is not a coincidence. The angels and the spirit descending, as described in ShabEQadr, represent this profound, rapid awakening of human intellect. It is driven by the unrestricted power of Jamat pouring into the world.
So what does this all mean for you listening to this deep dive right now? We've talked about 6,000 years of history, the math of the cosmos, global technological leaps. But how does this esoteric framework land in your daily life?
It lands right at your feet. Because we are currently living in the Dariqa, the cycle of the common people. The defining characteristic of this cycle is radical, direct access to the Imam without intermediaries.
Because the rank of the Pir was unified with the Imam.
Exactly. Because of that unification, regular followers were granted the Izam, or the ball, in unprecedented numbers. The spiritual heights that were once strictly reserved for the highest, most elite ranks during the winter of concealment, those are now entirely accessible to you.
And this direct access leads into one of the most mind-bending concepts taught by Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah, monorealism. Now, monorealism completely reshapes how you view your own soul, but the term itself can sound very academic.
It can. But at its core, monorealism teaches that you actually have two existences simultaneously. Right now, you experience life as a purely physical being. You are dealing with daily stress, commuting to work, paying bills.
All the heavy, dense stuff of the physical world.
Right. But the other end of your soul is completely annihilated and living within the Imam in the spiritual realm.
Annihilated is a strong word. For someone sitting in traffic right now listening to this, what does it actually mean to have two existences and for one of them to be annihilated in the spiritual realm?
It means that the boundary you perceive between yourself and the divine is an illusion of the physical world. In the spiritual realm, your individual ego, the part of you that feels separate and isolated, is dissolved or annihilated into the greater reality of the Imam's light. You are not separate from it. You are a part of it.
To make this relatable, think of the sun and its rays. A ray of sunlight streaming through your window isn't a separate, independent source of light. It's not divorced from the sun. The ray is the sun, just expressed in a localized physical form.
That is a perfect visualization.
In monorealism, the Imam is the focal point through which divine light becomes accessible. The ray are already connected to it.
Your true eternal existence is already alive in that immense light, and that completely changes the paradigm of the Night of Power. If your soul is already anchored in the Imam's light, Laylat al-Qadr is not a literal date on a calendar that you wait around for once a year, hoping to beg for blessings.
It is a daily invitation, every single night.
Yes. There is a beautiful farman from Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah that makes this incredibly explicit. He stated that every midnight, while the physical world sleeps, an angel descends from the heavens asking, "Is there any worshiper so that I can take his request to God?"
Every single midnight.
Every midnight. This daily midnight contemplation is your opportunity to consciously connect that physical ray of your existence back to its spiritual source.
And the goal of that daily contemplation is to enter the house of Salamati, the house of peace. If we look at the final verse of Surah 97, it says, "Peace it is till the break of dawn," or Fajr. But again, esoterically, that dawn isn't just the sun coming up at 6 in the morning.
Exactly. Fajr represents the ultimate rise of your soul into a state of everlasting peace, the complete realization of that dual existence we spoke about in monorealism.
Which highlights the absolute urgency and really the beauty of our current era. We are so lucky to be living in the spring. Mawla Shah Rahim issued a profound reminder in his farman. He said, "The time that you have wasted is the time which is impossible to make up." The tools for this elevation, your prayers, your zikar, your tasbihats, the bowl, they aren't hidden anymore. They are sitting right in front of you.
The shells of winter are gone.
They are gone. And that leaves us with a truly provocative thought to mull over today. We just spent this time exploring how the cosmic power of the 7th cycle, the unrestricted power of Jamat, was potent enough to completely transform our physical world globally. It literally drove humanity to discover electricity, quantum science, and global connectivity in the blink of an eye. Just imagine. What can that exact same unrestricted power do inside the universe of your own soul if you simply make the choice to ask for it tonight?
And so we arrive at the shore of a truth that has been waiting for you. Across cycles of time, through the words of the Holy Quran, through the farmans of our beloved imams, through the pen of our great dais and scholars, one reality shines through, clear and unshakable. The night of power was never about darkness. It was always about light. The light of the imam descending toward you every single night. Here is your key takeaway from today's reflection. Night of Qadr, the night of power, is not a moment you wait for once a year. It is a living reality, present in every breath you take, in every sincere turn you make towards your imam. You have not missed it. You're living inside it. We would love to know what stirred inside you today. If something in this episode stirred your curiosity, we encourage you not to stop here. Return to the Quranic verses, revisit the classical texts, examine the historical cycles, reflect on the patterns of Noor, heptads, and transitions across eras. We have intentionally pointed towards certain connections without exhausting them. Not because the answers are hidden, but because some truths are best encountered through personal inquiry. Laylat al-Qadr itself is described as a night of unveiling. And unveiling, by its very nature, is something one must experience, not simply be told. Question of the day. If every night is truly the night of power when you turn to your imam, what is one small but sincere step you will take tonight to draw closer to that light? Share your reflection in the comments below. Let your words become a light for someone else reading them. And if this episode has moved something in your soul, please hit that like button right now. Subscribe to the Ismaili Esoteric Study Circle if you have not already, and make sure that bell icon is turned on so you never ever miss a single reflection. Then take a moment and share this episode with someone you love, a family member, a friend, someone whose heart you know is quietly searching, because you never know whose awakening your single share might become the reason for. You are not merely a listener here, you are a keeper of light. And together as seekers, as followers, as souls walking toward the same eternal dawn, we are building something beautiful. May the Imam's light illuminate every corner of your mind, soften every corner of your heart, and guide every step of your path. Until we meet again in another luminous reflection, Ya Ali Madad.